Hey, what is up guys, Rob the Undead Gamer here, and just before I start today's video, I just want to say a massive thank you to Mr. Naz Dragonheart of the channel Talkplay, who has kindly allowed me to use some of the footage in this video from his channel. So thank you very much, Naz. Links as always will be in the description down below and all over this page. So this video thing, vlog, let's go. So earlier this week I watched a very interesting dramatisation on BBC called The Game Changers. Now, if you've not seen it, you can probably catch it on BBC iPlayer or around the world. I don't know where you might watch it, but it's probably on some BBC online website. I'm not sure if worldwide there's like an iPlayer equivalent or an on-demand website set. There probably is, let's be honest, probably is. But I highly recommend it. It starred Daniel Radcliffe and was basically a dramatisation of the debacle that went on with Rockstar in around 2002 with the release of Grand Theft Auto Vice City and San Andreas. San Andreas? Why did I say that weird? San Andreas. Andreas. And it basically involved the whole lawsuit between like violent video games and their effect on people and all that sort of business. Now, it wasn't a biopic, it wasn't like, it was based on true events and sort of court cases, but it wasn't like an exact, this is exactly what happened. So for the most part it was a dramatisation, but it was very, very good. Now, I don't think that Rockstar actually had anything sort of to do with it either, so you know what their stance on it is, I'm not entirely sure, but it's basically been made and brought up with a lot of things in mind, and it was quite poignant and a non-biased look at the whole, are video games influencing our children with violence and how they're not. Now, if you've not seen it, I do highly recommend you go watch it through whatever means, but the reason why I want to talk about it today is because I just found it very, very interesting, and I'm glad that it was a non-biased look. As a gamer myself, I suppose I fall under the bias bracket of I don't think video games make a person do violent things. But I also see myself as a rational and intelligent, I use the word intelligent loosely, human being, in that I can understand both sides of the coin, which is what this program did. It didn't just say this is right and this is wrong, or you know, only show one sort of view and opinion. It fairly showed both sides of the coin, showing the developer's point of view, not necessarily Rockstar Games' own like official point of view, but I suppose to a degree it's a general view of developers and publishers within the video games industry, and those that do believe that video games are poisoning our children's minds and all that sort of shit. And both sides within the program do bring up very, very good points. Obviously, it used a lot of factual stuff behind it. There was a murdering or a criminality, a crime that was committed by someone who's a real person who is still in jail to this day. I'm not going to name names because I can't remember the names. I'm sorry. I'm so bad at this. But they basically got arrested and killed 3 or more police officers and escaped in a police car, and they're still in jail to this day for it. And basically they did it to try and quote-unquote copycat what they saw or what they played in GTA. Now, I'll be the first person to say that video games don't make people do violent things. All these school shootings, all these other terrible crimes that involve young people mainly, I suppose, where terrible things have happened, and video games are always get the blame for it. They're always the first thing to be like, yep, he played GTA, he's obviously a terrible person. He played Call of Duty, it was the games that did it to him. Yet, no one ever looks at the bigger picture. It's almost as if video games are a scapegoat. and no one looks at the social background of this person, the sort of current conditions that this person's going through, all the life things, you know, the stuff that's happening to this person now, or they overlook mental health issues, all sorts of business like that. Because it's an easy scapegoat. They ignore gun laws or whatever the main issue is. They don't admit to it. They don't admit to being a bad parent or whatever, or that society's fucked, or the government has done something wrong to allow these people to easily access guns or be criminals, because there's nothing in place to make them sort of good, decent citizens, because they haven't got the opportunity to get a job or whatever the case may be. People always overlook it, and oh yeah, definitely the video games. Now, to kind of save talking, you know, having the same conversation, what I kind of want to talk about mainly is that obviously what I've just said is the mainstream media outlook on stuff like this. It's video games are the evil cause, they're the scapegoat. It's what majority of people around the world are kind of subject to and influenced by, thinking that, wow, violent video games are corrupting our children and corrupting our young people and making them into criminals. Yet, what this TV show showed was a very different side, was a very different opinion that you don't get, normal sort of people don't get subject to because of the media or from the media. And that was, as I mentioned earlier, the opinion and the outlook from the developer and the publisher. Now, nowadays, as most people, including myself, and I think it's mainly from gamers, we're all sort of trying to almost push video games as a art form, as an acceptable style of media. Many people, especially I think the older generation, are stuck in the ways of thinking that these video games are nothing more than just something for children, something that's aimed at children, nothing more than toys that children play, when in actual fact, and the research has been done, that majority of gamers are sort of, and I don't know the exact number, but they're kind of like between the ages of 25 and 40, like they're middling around the ages of 30, because those are the people that actually grew up with games and are still playing them to this day. So, and it's no surprise and no news to us as gamers that there's a lot of games that are marketed at adults. A lot of games that have got mature themes and deal with very dark subjects, deal with very mature subjects, are violent, can have sexual content in them, and all that sort of thing, because it's aimed at adults. It's the same way that shows such as Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is not aimed at children. It is aimed at adults. It is aimed at a mature audience. In the same way that many books are. 50 Shades of Grey, kids aren't reading them at school. I hope they're not reading them at school. You know, they're not being read in elementary school and primary school. Oh, this is what we're going to read today, kids. Oh, what happened to Elmer? No, fuck that. We're reading 50 Shades of Grey, child. No, the media is aimed at many different age groups. And games that, like GTA, obviously aimed at adult audiences. And that shouldn't be an issue. That shouldn't be a problem. And the point is that these publishers and developers, they are creating an entertainment. They're creating entertaining media, a media that we consume to escape, to entertain ourselves, to have fun with, to not think about other things, in the same way that I would read a book or watch a film. In the same way that we'd all do those things. Yes, of course, you're sort of experiencing all the, like a video game and a book and a TV show, all in different ways, but you're still consuming that media to entertain yourself, to escape and get away. And I suppose until such a time where video games are viewed in that way, we will always have these issues. We will always have these problems. Until people understand that video games aren't just for children, then, you know, we will, I suppose, video games will continue to be the scapegoat. And that sucks. But at least with TV shows like this, that has gone out to a wide audience, it's on the BBC. BBC is probably one of the biggest networking broadcasting stations in the world. and the amount of people that this show has gone out to and been consumed by as an entertaining piece of media, the better. As I said, they're being shown or exposed to a different side, our side of the table. In that, and it was said, I'm not going to quote because I not exactly anyway, but it was said in the TV show that they're just being used as a scapegoat. Not are they looking at why it's easy to go out in America and get a gun like that. Anyone can go out and get a gun. They're not looking at the social or mental health of said person or the state that this person could possibly be in, the help that they might need. No. Of course, video games, and I've experienced this, not one single damn video game has ever said to me, hey, you know what you should do today? You should go and kill someone. You should definitely go get a knife or a gun and do some bad things with that to someone. No, never has that happened. Never has a single video game I've played ever done that. Not ever has a single video game influenced me to do anything of that nature. Now, I'm not gonna necessarily deny the fact that video games can have an influence on someone. In the same way that a movie can have an influence on someone, a book can have an influence on someone, a person can have an influence on someone. The relationships you have influences on you, your hobbies have an influence on you, the media you consume has an influence on you, your experiences have an influence on you, everything around the world has an influence on you as a person. And that can't be denied. However, some things coupled with other things such as mental health, such as social pressures and everything like that, can push a person to do something wrong. But in the same way a video game could be that sort of pusher, so could a very violent TV show, or a very violent film, or a book. Anything can do that. But not once are these things being made purposely by developers to hurt people or to make people do things that are wrong. No. And again, this is why there are ratings boards. And this is why there needs to be, and there already is, but what it falls down to is the people, mainly the parents, to make sure that what media their child is consuming is appropriate for their age group, for their mental maturity, for everything like that. The amount of times I've seen, and I saw this very recently when GTA 5 just came out. I was in a local game store, I was browsing the store on the PS4 section, and this family are in there. Mother and their son, probably about 7, maybe 10, between 7 and 10 years old, and he was like, Grand Theft Auto 5, Mum, we should definitely get that. I'd love to play that, blah blah blah. Oh okay, yeah that's fine, let's pick that up for you then. I'm sorry, do you know what's in that video game? I mean, I've not played it, but I know the sorts of things GTA has. And I've heard from friends, the sort of things that they get up to in that game and the sorts of things you can do. And there's a reason, there's a goddamn reason that game is rated 18 or mature or whatever rating you have in your country. There's a reason it's that. Because it shouldn't be consumed by children. But willy-nilly, parents allow their children, allow their kids to have these things, play these things, consume that form of entertaining media. And this is why we end up with situations like this. I hope that now TV shows like this have happened and occurred where you've got both sides of this coin, both sides of the story, and mainly a story or a side that's never shown in mainstream media, i.e. the gamer's side, the publisher's side, the developer's side, the game's media's side to things. Now I hope that people will start to think a bit more. Hope that it will have smartened people, educated people to think, hang on a minute, game developers and the video game industry isn't evil. It's just another side that can hopefully allow people to open their minds and think more. Anyway, it's just my thoughts on things, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you've got anything to say, or if you watched that show, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. We'll probably be discussing it further in sort of more detail, more grand scope later on this week with the Undead Gaming Cast, our monthly podcast, where hopefully it'll be myself and the usual guys sort of talking, and that's going to be our main topic for that podcast. So if you want to hear more of my opinions and everyone else's opinions, whoever's going to be on the podcast, then definitely stay tuned for that, as that will be appearing on my channel hopefully by the end of this week, and on iTunes at a similar sort of time as well, if you'd just rather listen to it. So without further ado, guys, I've been Rob the Undead Gamer. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Naz, for letting me use your content in my video, and I will catch you guys very soon. Bye bye.